Facebook or on the website or something. So he's going to set this up. It is really an honor for me to introduce our speaker today, Robin Miller, who has gotten to be a friend in a very short time. And I'm just so impressed with this young woman and what life has dealt her and the way that she has moved beyond and is now shining. So things were dark for a long season of her life, but she stepped forth and is now shining. And that's the theme of our event today, is come and shine. And she's going to tell you a little bit about that, how we want you to shine, how we want you to impact others so that they can shine. And that's really a plan for all of our lives. God has a purpose for us to all shine. And so without anything more, I really want to introduce Robin Miller, who is an advocate and case manager and mentor for women that she works with at LifeWorks Northwest. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Fancy, I've got a place I can't cross over, and I've got a fancy microphone and a thing I'm not supposed to trip over. So hopefully I won't. And now that this is going to be on Facebook, I'm need to hold in my tummy and which angle. I know I can't tell you how beautiful you are. You all look this afternoon, this morning. I'm so fortunate and blessed to have been asked to be here and to talk to you. And I brought a small PowerPoint to help me tell my story. And just one second, we'll get it up there. Okay. So there's a Bible verse that goes with the theme of the event today, and it's Daniel 12:3. And it says, "The wise will shine like the heavens, and those who lead others to righteousness like the stars forever and ever." And there's always a part of my story where when I'm talking is that I get a little emotional, and this is because I look out and I see all of you as stars. Like, you're so light. When you came in, some of you looked a little nervous and a little hesitant, but right now you're all just glowing. And to me, that tells me that you're those stars. You're the young women that are going to lead other people, to be better people. Things don't always happen in our lives that we didn't plan the bad stuff that happens in our life. We didn't ask for bad things to happen to us. But sometimes we find ourselves in those places, and if you're in those places, just hold on and continue to look for the people in your life who are showing you love. Like Pastor Gary was sharing that, that love you genuinely. They don't want anything from you. You're going to probably come across some people in your lives that are going to want some things for you, and you don't have to give them anything. You're far too valuable to give anybody anything that doesn't love you. And I know, like he said, there's 90 women in here who showed up, suited up, and showed up for you today, and we love you. And we're so glad that you took the time out of your day. It's beautiful out. Look, now we're all in this dark room, and there's sunshine, and we don't get a lot of that here. So I really want to thank you also for being here and listening to me. So 1970s, I don't think it was that long ago. Really, I don't. 1970s is not that long ago. We had cool things going on then, and you see, we'll go into the 80s in a little bit, but you all are wearing those fashions. I see you guys wearing the same things as I wore. Chuck Taylors have been around and cool for a long time, and I've seen several, especially from my group of ladies that I got to spend the day with, purple group in the house right there. So I grew up 1970s. This is me when I was a baby, or a younger, not quite a baby, but I always liked getting my picture taken, I think. I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, and I have, my mom and dad, they were actually still married, and they've been married 51 years And 2 weeks from today is our anniversary, and but it wasn't always nice, you know. They stayed married, my mother stayed married to my father. Probably today you would see people leaving. A lot of, you know, a lot of really hard, dark times in our house. My dad drank a lot, and so there was a lot of yelling and things being said. I was afraid a lot, you know, in my room. I was safe though, so that's one thing that I'm really thankful that God protected me. But I was always afraid, and I always, you know, wanted to protect my mom, and I had a little sister, we shared a room. That's my little sister, Rondi, with her tongue out, and then I have an older brother whose name is Reed. My parents still live in that house, actually, and I said sibling love, we didn't always, you know, get along. My sister was 3, no, she was 2 when I was 5, and she gave me a handful of cookies, and then I ate them, and she told me they were dog food. So, and so, yes, it was not good, and I cried. This is, so here, this is me through my school years. And I was looking, when I put this PowerPoint together, I was looking at my smile, and I see the same, it's like the same smile, you know, something I put on my face when people were looking. And that way they couldn't see, like, how I felt about myself, because I didn't think I was anybody special. I didn't love myself. I didn't, you know, my dad, he drank, he paid our bills, you know, I did gymnastics. You know, the place that I did gymnastics was not a healthy place. The men that taught gymnastics weren't healthy men. They weren't godly men. You know, they weren't nice. They talked terribly. I think we had to weigh on a scale at the beginning of the week. At the beginning of the week and weigh out at the end of the week. And I was fat. I was told I was fat. So from, you know, and I was starting in like second and third grade. So I really I didn't like myself. I didn't see anything good about myself. You know, I thought a relationship or a man yelled at his family and drank a lot. I mean, that was what my normal was. And so the smile, I look, and it really moved me when I put this together. Another thing, so we're going to get to a really, something that's really serious. I'm going to talk about sex trafficking and what commercial sexual exploitation is and how that happened to me. It didn't happen to me when I was 12, 13, 14, and 15. So I will, you know, tell you that, but I do want to let you know that that's when it can happen, and it happens mostly. Like they say, I don't know if any of you are familiar with what this is, and I know that they're teaching it in some schools now and trying to help you prepare for if things like that happen, that you can be aware. But you are the lady, you're so valuable. And there are men who aren't godly, and they see your value, and they want to exploit it. And exploit it means use it. And they want to just suck it all from you. And you don't have to, again. But these pictures, the one with the funny hair in the middle, I was 17 there. And I'm a sophomore. I think I'm 16 in that top one. So that's the normal age that this happens to. Again, it didn't happen to me then. It happened to me. I graduated in 1990. I was a cheerleader. I was, you know, I had a lot of friends. Again, it was a smile, everything on the outside. I started drinking when I was 14. I started drinking a lot. And I would say I was an alcoholic, really young. I drank because when I was drunk, I thought everybody liked me. I was funnier. I was prettier. I was all these things, but I really wasn't. You know, I wasn't those things. And things happened to me. I was assaulted as, you know, a 15, 16-year-old when I was drunk. I would drink, and I don't know if you know what blackout drinking is. Blackout drinking is when you drink way too much and you don't remember anything. So I would wake up and I wouldn't know anything what happened. And so again, I just started feeling worse, uglier and darker on the inside. But I didn't stop drinking. You know, I kept thinking, it makes me pretty, I'm funny, everybody likes me. And I got in trouble a lot for drinking. My mom used to tell me she was going to put me in rehab the next time she caught me drinking, and she never did. Sometimes I think, what would have happened had she done that? But I don't know. So I went away to college. I graduated in 1990, and I tried to go away to college, and it was immediately a bad idea because I just drank more. And I started having bigger problems. I didn't go to classes, so college didn't last too long, and I ended up coming back to the Portland area and starting to work. I worked at like a restaurant. I worked at a bingo parlor. I took care of like a little boy. I did whatever I could to make money because I was making money. I could drink, and again, remember I was prettier and funnier and all of those things when I drank, but again, it was not. It was getting darker and darker and harder to remember who I was. And so I was 21 years old, and I was ended up dancing in a strip club. So definitely not the place to be. Not for a 15-year-old, not for a 21-year-old. And it is happening. There are places that are, little girls are in these clubs, and it's happening. It's real. I don't know if I could say I was blessed because I was 21, but that's how my story was. That's when it happened to me. I ended up there, and I met a man, and he told me, what did he say? He told me he would drink the bathwater out of my shoe. I don't think anybody in here would do that. I certainly wouldn't. And so that was in 1993. And again, 1993 isn't that long ago, remember? Not that long ago. But I met him in 1993, and he took me away. What did I do? What was I? I was drunk. Left, woke up, didn't know where I was. I wasn't in Portland. I was up north in Tacoma, Washington. And then we drank. And then the next time I woke up, I was in San Francisco. And at that point, kind of knew what was going on, what I was going to have to do. And at that point, too, we didn't have internet. I think that's a good thing. I was very happy not to have been on the internet or not to have to worry about that stuff. But we walked in the streets. And so I was in the street, and I was alone. And I couldn't call my mom because what was I going to say? I felt terrible. I was dirty and dark and hopeless. This man took me, he was a pimp, and he'd been doing this for several years. Ended up taking me several spots. You see up there, I have a list of places we went. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Honolulu, Vegas, Phoenix, Seattle, Tacoma, and Portland. I can tell you went to jail in every place except Portland and Las Vegas. I didn't go to jail in any of those cities. Linda pointed out when I shared my PowerPoint with her, the star, and it kind of fits into this presentation. That's my first mugshot. That's the first time I got arrested. I was 21 again, San Francisco, been there 2 weeks, and I went to jail. I got out and I went right back to him. Now, there's some other things that happened. I got pregnant. Probably got pregnant the first week or two I met him. And I ended up leaving him and going home because he didn't want me to have the baby. And I wanted to have my baby, so I left, and he called, and I went back because he told us we could be a family. He told me we could be a family. So I came back to him, and we weren't a family. We're not a family. My daughter is 22, and she's getting ready to finish college, so I'm really glad I made that decision to keep her. I had a son in this time, so from 1993 to 1999, 6 years, I had my oldest daughter, I have a 19-year-old son, and then I left him, the day I left him, I got pregnant with my youngest daughter, Joy, who's 16, and who I wish had been here today. But that was what I thought I was supposed to be. Remember, I'm thinking like my mom stayed with my dad, they were married, and she loved him, and despite that he abused her and he was, this alcoholic, she stayed, and so I thought in my head, that's what you're supposed to do. One thing my mom taught me about Jesus from a really little, since I was a little girl, so I prayed, and but I still thought, oh, you have to stay with this man, you have to stay with this man. And I was exploited for 6 years. The day I left him, again, very cool to me, is that I can shut my eyes today and look up at this, like see the sky, and this sky was filled with stars. Countless numbers of stars. And I just reached my hands up to him. I said, please, please, I want to go home. I want to be with my kids. I want to be a mom. And the next day we were fighting. And the next day we were going to get married. We were going to go to Las Vegas, back to Las Vegas, and we were going to get married. And God heard my prayer because he did let that happen. You know, my mom wouldn't come and get me because she came and bailed me out of jail so many times through the 6 years that she understood that wasn't going to help. She did call some friends of mine who I'd met. I had done 3 months, I'd gone to a treatment center and met some ladies, and we were friends. We're still friends today. And they came up to Tacoma and picked me up, even though I told them not to come. I said, don't come. I'm not coming. Don't come. And they came. So the next day I left after I said that prayer, and I went home. And God just started his work in me. He hasn't stopped. He's not done. He's not done with me yet. There are still a lot of things that, you know, I believe that he has planned for me. But again, it's that verse, you know, the wise will shine like the heavens, and those who lead others to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. And, you know, without my story, without what I went through, without having the life I had, I wouldn't be able to be here today and share with you, like, just how much there is to life and for you. And, you know, it's not going to be easy. You know, it's not easy. It's not going to, I can't even say it's you know, tomorrow's going to be the best day. You know, it's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of things. You are so young, and there's so much, you know, that you will probably experience. And some will be good and some will be bad. But, you know, if you continue to just lift each other up, find those people that love you and stick with them. There's a saying, stick with the winners, you know. People who aren't hurting you. And sometimes I think it's hard to find those people, you know, and sometimes it's something we have to make a choice to walk away from those people, even if it feels normal, you know, because it's scary to leave. It's scary to leave something that you know is always going to be there. So if he's hitting you and he's telling you you're this and you're that, or if you love me, you'll do this, it's not that bad, and, you know, we'll be together forever. You just have to do this for a little bit. You know, it's a lie, you know. Those aren't the winners. Those aren't the winners. But it feels normal, and it feels like, oh, because you expect it. You know it's going to hurt. You know you're going to cry. You know it's going to be painful. So you don't, you know, leaving is hard, or not being with somebody like that is hard, especially if it's something you experience for your lifetime. So, I mean, it takes a lot of courage, but I know that, you know, again, I look out and you're all stars. Like, I see your faces are like hopeful. I look out and I see hope, and I see, I mean, the fact that you're just looking and listening, I just like lifts my heart. So if you were wondering so I was in the life for 6 years. And if you're wondering, like, I think I was kind of cute with, you know, it wasn't too bad right there, right? Not too bad today. I'm older, but I'm in the older group. Where's Darlene? I'm older. I'm one of the olders. But if you were curious, like, you know, what do they have? That faces of meth? This is the faces of crack. and the faces of what you know, this is what that looks like. And the scary thing is that men still pick me up. They still pick me up. And I thought I looked good. I requested these from the place, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be cute. These are going to be probably the cutest mugshots ever taken. And they aren't, you know, so that's where it took me. And this is where Jesus has brought me. So this is, I have this verse on my wrist. A friend of mine gave me a bracelet that has Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So I believe that for all of us, you know, all of you. There's hope and a future, and I'm just so thankful. You all look amazing. I'm jealous of your young feet. Walking around those shoes, I would be crying. I would have an arthritic toe and enjoy them while they're young. Don't abuse them. I can't wait. I know my table still gets to go to the hair, and I'm excited to see what happens at the end of the day. I hope you guys have a nice time. I think I've spoken my time, if not over. Did I?
No, you're great. We have a few minutes. If you have any questions for Robin, please go ahead and ask them. She has agreed that she'd be happy to answer your questions.
And if you don't want to ask questions to Arlene, Phil, but if you don't want to, I think Linda's going to set me up somewhere and she'll tell you where. Arlene?
So what do you do after you got out of the life, and what do you do now?
Oh. I come and do as much of this as I can. So my job it's the best job I've ever had in my life. They say, you'll hear this maybe sometime, they tell you if you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. And sometimes I get my paycheck, I feel like I'm not working today, but that's not what makes me happy today. Like all the money that I made, like I just went right, I didn't have it, I don't have anything. The money doesn't make me happy. And I have everything I need. Today I work with women who are in the life or coming out of the life. The women are 18 and older. We have ladies who've been in the life for 30 years in our program. And you saw what 5 and 6 years look like, It gets really hard. And they've been with pimps. They've been with, a lot of times what happens in the life is that you might start with somebody who puts you out there or introduces you to the life, or it just happens, out of your control. It's not something anybody chooses. I don't think there are people who say, this is my job. I love to do this job. There is not one of us in here when we were, even probably today, but when you were 5 or 10, you said, I want to be trafficked, or I want to be, out there doing those things. But that's what I do. I help women kind of steer clear. Some of them have been arrested and they have to come to our program. And some of them come because they're ready to be done. And we get to work with Abolition Now, which is another piece of what Compassion Connect, and there's a whole big thing. I mean, they're coming beside young women like y'all, and they don't walk away. They love you because they are standing next to these young women who, aren't maybe at risk, and then the women who are, and then the women who are 50 and still been out there, and they still are here. They're people who want to help, and that's just what I find joy in doing.
Leslie?
It sounds like your dad didn't physically abuse you. Do you think that the verbal abuse, if you got verbal abuse from him, do you think that's what bridged you over to Mr. Close Enough that put you out there on the market? my dad screamed and yelled, and even today he works on it. My dad today is like a different man. He doesn't drink. He actually, so my children, my parents raised, my two oldest children, my daughter who's 22 and my son who's 19, they always lived with my mom and dad. And he changed. Like God used whatever happened to like bring blessing to my family. But yeah, I heard just garbage in. And mind you, the man who did this to me, he didn't come and just tell me garbage at first. I mean, he didn't have to work too long on me. It was the alcohol, I think, that really played a big piece because I just would go. But he at first, loved me and we were going to be a family and all of those things. But it doesn't end like that. Just that terrible, that low self-esteem, not thinking I'm good enough. And you are all good enough. All of you. You're all just where you're supposed to be. It might not be where you want to be, but like today here, you are right where you're supposed to be. And so when you leave today, now I hope you have some hope. I hope you, see the beauty that we see and that you can make, decisions, that will help you just continue to grow and to bring your sisters alongside with you. don't, sometimes you gotta walk away. You can't just stay. Somebody doesn't wanna come, but you can come and you can lead, and then it's like you're gonna shine like the stars forever and ever.
And we do want you to be advocates. We want you to learn and grow and shine and then lead others. Warn your sisters, your classmates, your friends, your neighbors, and be the one that's going to make the right choices and lead them to make right choices. Jamie.
So, do you know what happened to the man?
Oh, gosh. The man who is my kid, I have 3 children with, and who was my pimp? Yes. So a year ago, I was working at a job. I was like a secretary, and I had started applying for this position, this job. God moved in my life. I've been praying. I have people praying for me, and but right before I left for this job, I would sometimes go online because he would go to jail often, and sometimes I would get a child support or something like money, and he would always be in jail. So I looked, and he was in fact in jail, and usually he was always there because he was addicted to drugs. It was a drug-related kind of thing. Well, not this time. This time he was in jail because he for 2 counts of human trafficking and 2 counts of promoting prostitution. And one of the young women, so there was a young woman who got caught by the police over the internet. They set her up, and she came in, and she ended up telling who he was. This young lady was 21. Now that's how old I was. He's 45, 46. His oldest daughter is 21. So he hadn't stopped doing this. And then he had another lady who was 30 or something, in her 30s, and so he got in trouble. And now he's actually, the trial's supposed to start May 4th, so you pray people, pray, because I'm going to be actually telling, going there to the court and sharing whatever they ask. So.
Many of us are not fortunate enough to have a godly father or to be in a family where there is godly men that we can see. So what are some of the warning signs or red flags in a relationship that isn't healthy? Like when you were starting it, you didn't see it. But looking back now, what are some of the things that you see happen then that you should have maybe known that wasn't healthy?
If it's always your fault, it's not healthy, because it's not always your fault. Sometimes I know I shouldn't say things. Our mouth is the worst thing. It can cause more pain than, like physical abuse sometimes, because our words don't go away. Once they're out there, we can't take them back. But when it's always your fault, that's a sign. If there are things that he wants you to do to show him how much you love him, and they can be starting small. Like, it doesn't have to be, if you love me, you'll take your clothes off and, go out there. That doesn't have to be it. It'll be, if you love me, you'll tell your mom and dad to, or you'll tell your teacher to whatever. Your teacher's, if you know in your heart the people, I think like if somebody has a good intention or a bad intention, I think you all can feel that. And so if somebody's telling you, those people that you really trust and have shown you over and over to be people who care and always there for you, and somebody's telling you they're not, they don't care, they don't see you, they think you're just this little kid and you're not a little kid, well, that's another sign. There's a lot of, we can talk if you have questions.
The area, unless there's any other burning questions, Robin has...
Angie.
Okay. Robin has agreed to take questions.
Did you know what she said?
I wanted to give you a hug.
Angie? Oh wait, I got my section. You gotta be, don't look at the camera. You gotta be on my
Robin has agreed to, we have a room and we'll take you back there, a quiet conference room, where if you just want to ask her some questions and just have some conversation about this subject, anything more that you would like to discuss or hear, we'll take you back there right now. And everyone else, we are having some wonderful Italian ice and brownies and dessert that we serve. And then also, you can continue going to your stations.